The last photo on Rachel's phone showed all 5 of them at the gas station, 11:47 p.m. buying ice and firewood. The clerk remembered them clearly, laughing about forgetting matches, asking directions to the campground. 4 hours later, a trucker found their car on fire beside Highway 19, doors open, purses still inside. But the girls were gone. What investigators discovered in Rachel's deleted photos would reveal they never made it to the campground at all. March 22, 2009. Location: Jefferson National Forest, Virginia. 5 juniors from University of Virginia, heading to a campground for spring break weekend. Rachel Morrison, 21, the organized one who'd mapped out the entire trip on her laptop. Taylor Hughes, 20, whose father was a state senator, driving her brand new BMW. Melissa Chang, 21, pre-law with an internship at the DOJ lined up for summer. Brooke Anderson, 20, the party girl who'd brought a cooler full of beer despite the dry county laws. And Caitlin Ross, 20, quiet art major who spent most of her time sketching in a worn notebook. They'd left campus at 8 p.m., a 3-hour drive that should have put them at the campground by 11. Rachel texted her boyfriend at 10:15, making good time. Taylor drives like a grandma lol. Melissa posted on Facebook at 10:45, city girls about to rough it. Brooke's Instagram at 11:20 showed them at a rest stop, posing by a National Forest sign. The Exxon station footage at 11:47 p.m. was the last confirmed sighting. The clerk, Dennis Vaughn, 58, remembered them distinctly because Brooke had flirted with him, asking if there were any cute park rangers at the campground. They bought ice, firewood, bug spray, and matches. Taylor paid with her credit card. They got back in the BMW and turned left out of the station toward the campground. But here's what the investigation would later reveal: they never turned left. The BMW's GPS, recovered from the burned vehicle, showed they'd turned right instead, heading away from the campground. At 12:03 a.m., the car stopped for 14 minutes on a side road. At 12:17 a.m., it continued deeper into the forest on roads that weren't supposed to exist, old logging routes not on any current map. The GPS recorded the final location at 12:41 a.m., then nothing. At 3:45 a.m., trucker Wayne Hutchinson saw the burning BMW on the Highway 19 shoulder, 15 miles from where the GPS last recorded. He called 911, tried to approach, but the heat was too intense. By the time fire crews arrived, the car was destroyed. But forensics found something odd. The fire had been set deliberately, accelerant poured specifically on the seats and dashboard, but the trunk was untouched. Inside the trunk, 5 purses, 5 phones, 5 sets of camping gear, perfectly intact. Here's the first major break that changed everything. Dennis Vaughn, the gas station clerk, didn't show up for his next shift. His manager found his apartment cleaned out, mattress gone, 20 years of accumulated life vanished overnight. Background check revealed Dennis Vaughn had only existed for 3 years. Before 2006, no record of him anywhere. The real Dennis Vaughn had died in 1987 in Michigan, a homeless veteran whose identity had been stolen. Security footage from other businesses showed Vaughn's truck following the BMW from the gas station. He hadn't gone home after his shift, he'd followed the girls. Enhanced footage from an ATM camera caught his truck turning right when they turned right, heading into the forest on those unmapped roads. But Vaughn's truck was found the next day, abandoned at a boat launch 50 miles away, wiped clean of prints. Inside, investigators found something chilling: a notebook with 5 pages of details about each girl. Their class schedules, their regular coffee shops, their jogging routes. He'd been watching them for months. The last entry, dated March 21st, tomorrow night. Everything ready at the site. April 2009. The search expands. FBI took over, bringing in specialists from the Behavioral Analysis Unit. They mapped those old logging roads, found 17 abandoned structures, old hunting cabins, equipment sheds, a decommissioned fire tower. Each one was searched extensively. In cabin number 12, they found evidence someone had been there recently. Fresh plywood over the windows, new padlocks, a generator with half a tank of gas. And in the basement, 5 mattresses, still tagged from a Walmart purchase 2 weeks earlier. But here's what made investigators' blood run cold. Under ultraviolet light, the basement walls revealed writing, hundreds of entries in different hands, different pens, some dating back 15 years. Katie Sullivan, 1994, 3 days. Monica Chen, 1997, 5 days. Sarah Williams, 2001, 2 days. Jennifer Adams, 2004, 6 days. 37 names total. The FBI matched 22 to missing persons cases from Virginia and neighboring states. All women, all between 18 and 25, all disappeared without a trace. The most recent entry, in fresh ink, Rachel, Taylor, Melissa, Brooke, Caitlin, March 20th. The number of days was blank. Here's the second revelation that broke the case wide open. Rachel's phone, recovered from the burned car, had been remotely wiped, but forensic recovery found deleted photos from earlier that day. One showed a man in the background at a rest stop, the same build as Vaughn, but face obscured. Another showed their campsite reservation printout with handwritten directions. When enhanced, investigators could see a reflection in the car window. Someone had been watching them from another vehicle as Rachel took the photo. But the crucial evidence came from Caitlin's sketchbook. She'd been drawing during the drive, and her last sketch, timestamped by her habit of dating every drawing, showed the gas station at 11:45 p.m. In the background, barely visible, she'd drawn a second man standing by the ice machine, not Vaughn, someone younger, wearing a park ranger uniform. The FBI identified him as Kyle Patterson, 26, who'd been fired from the Forest Service 6 months earlier for inappropriate conduct with female hikers. Patterson's ex-girlfriend came forward, said he'd been obsessed with teaching stuck-up college girls a lesson. She'd left him when she found his collection of missing person news clippings, all young women who disappeared in national forests. Here's the third shocking development. Patterson was arrested at his mother's house in West Virginia. He didn't resist, seemed almost relieved. During interrogation, he admitted to partnering with the man he knew as Dennis. They'd met on a dark web forum for people who fantasized about abducting women. Dennis had done this before, many times. Patterson was new. This was his first. According to Patterson, the plan was simple. Dennis would identify targets at the gas station, Patterson would help intercept them on the forest roads, and they'd take them to the cabin. But something went wrong that night. The girls fought back harder than expected. Taylor had pepper spray. Rachel had a knife. In the chaos, Dennis lost control of the situation. Patterson claimed the girls escaped into the forest while he and Dennis were dealing with Taylor, who'd sprayed them both. By the time they recovered, the girls were gone in the darkness. They'd burned the car to destroy evidence and fled in opposite directions. But here's what Patterson didn't know. While he was confessing, search teams with thermal imaging had discovered something in the forest near Cabin 12. An old mine shaft, partially collapsed, the entrance hidden by 20 years of overgrowth. Cadaver dogs went crazy at the entrance. When the tactical team rappelled down, they found a larger chamber, naturally formed, expanded by mining. And in that chamber, investigators made a discovery that would haunt them forever. The remains of 18 women, some skeletal, some mummified by the cool, dry conditions. The oldest appeared to be from the early 1900s, but no Rachel, Taylor, Melissa, Brooke, or Caitlin. Their camping gear was there, backpacks, sleeping bags, the cooler of beer Brooke had brought. But the girls themselves were gone. Here's the fourth revelation that changed everything. Among the evidence in the mine was a laptop, still functioning, containing videos, dozens of them, showing women in the cabin basement. But the final video, dated March 23, 2009, 3 a.m., showed something different. The 5 UVA students were in the forest, running. The camera followed them shakily. Rachel was leading, using her phone's flashlight. They reached a road, flagged down a car, got in. The video ended. The FBI traced the road, found it led to State Route 42. They checked traffic cameras, gas stations, anywhere that might have recorded a vehicle picking up 5 women at 3 a.m. on March 23. Nothing. It was as if they'd vanished the moment they got in that car. May 2009. A letter arrives. The FBI received a handwritten letter, postmarked from Mexico. We're alive. We can't come back. He's still out there. The one you caught isn't Dennis. Dennis doesn't exist. Check the gas station employee records for 1987-2003. You'll understand. Don't look for us. Minor M. Rachel Morrison. Investigators pulled employment records for every gas station in a 200-mile radius from 1987-2003. They found 43 employees who'd quit suddenly, disappeared, or died under questionable circumstances. The pattern was clear. Someone had been using gas stations as hunting grounds for over 20 years, changing identities, moving locations, but always the same method. Here's the fifth shocking truth. In July 2009, Mexican federal police raided a compound in Chihuahua based on a tip about American women being held against their will. They found 14 women, all American, all reported missing between 2003 and 2009. Among them, Taylor Hughes and Brooke Anderson. Taylor told investigators they'd been sold to traffickers that night, split up immediately. She and Brooke had been kept together, moved through several locations. Rachel, Melissa, and Caitlin had been separated, sold to different buyers. She didn't know where they were. The man who'd picked them up on Route 42 wasn't a good Samaritan. He was part of the network. The whole thing had been orchestrated. Dennis, Patterson, the chase through the forest, all designed to funnel the girls to that specific road where the traffickers were waiting. Here's the final, most devastating revelation. Dennis was never caught. The man Patterson knew as Dennis was a ghost, a professional who'd been selling women to trafficking networks for decades. The FBI estimated he was responsible for at least 60 disappearances. He knew exactly how to manipulate desperate, terrified women into getting in that car thinking they were being rescued. Taylor Hughes testified before Congress about her experience. Brooke Anderson wrote a book. They became advocates for trafficking victims. But Rachel Morrison, Melissa Chang, and Caitlin Ross were never found. Intelligence suggested they'd been moved overseas within days of capture. Epilogue, present day. Kyle Patterson is serving life in federal prison. The real Dennis remains unidentified and at large. The FBI has a task force dedicated to finding him, but every lead goes cold. He's still out there, possibly working at another gas station, watching another group of college girls plan their spring break trip. The cabin and mine shaft were demolished. The site turned into a memorial for the 18 identified victims. Every spring break, UVA holds a safety seminar, teaching students about the dangers that exist in seemingly safe places. Taylor Hughes runs a nonprofit that's helped recover 200 trafficking victims. At every event, she shows the same photo: 5 college girls at a gas station, laughing, buying ice, completely unaware they're being watched. She always ends with the same warning: evil doesn't look like evil, it looks like a helpful clerk giving you directions. The case remains open for Rachel Morrison, Melissa Chang, and Caitlin Ross. Their families still hope, somewhere, in some country, under some other name, they might still be alive, waiting for rescue, waiting to come home. But the man they knew as Dennis, he's probably behind another counter, in another small town, watching another group of girls, planning another hunt, because after 40 years, he's never been caught, and he never will be, unless he already has your daughter in his sights.